But bro, welcome to the pod. Good to have you. I'm excited to have you as well, just because we've been friends for so long. I think this conversation will be really fun. I've been really curious about like what you've been going through lately with going through the academy and all this. You've been super busy, so I'm kind of interested in just like the lessons you've been learning there and how that's been. I think that'd be cool for the audience because a lot of us are laymen and we don't really understand like what a boot camp is, what an academy is, and you've gone through both of these things through the Marines, and then now you're going through it through for the police force. So I'm really curious on that. Curious on a couple other things, but I guess we'll start there. Like, how has the academy been? You're in the brinks of it right now. You probably still have some time left. I know you just got your eyes blasted with um, pepper spray the other day. So, kind of walk us through like that experience.
Yeah, sure. Freaking first off, I don't think I think organized and it's like um some formalized training is super good for the mind just based on like keeping you and getting you on track. If you're say you're somebody who's like off track or just needs some like structure in your life, like think about how like successful in the military and like police government and police organizations have been for so many years, and it's for a reason, there's structure behind it, and they can kind of bring get people on their um same thought process and same wavelength. But the correlation between the two, not much correlates to me in my mind because of the police department is much more civilian oriented, obviously, because you're like a public servant. The Marine Corps is like, it's kind of like the thought behind it is like they turn you into war fighters, so a lot more like robotic in the Marine Corps way of that thought. But um,
Can you
the
elaborate on that? What do you mean by like more robotic in the Marine Corps?
they teach you like well within the police academy there's a lot of like learning communication and like you understanding like what your job entails. The Marine Corps is just uh, every Marine is a rifleman, and basic recruit training is you shoot, you march, you learn to press your uniforms, you hike a lot, you become very independent, but also in such a a a compiled way that they've done, so like just like a cycle that they like cannot be broken, like it is a robotic thing. And I think about this all the time, and I tell people like some of the most impressive people I've ever met in my life are 20 plus years in the Marine Corps, but they are all so similar in so many ways. They're institutionalized to an extent. They've spent so much time in one institution. They don't even have to think about what they put on in the morning. You just put camis on. You for 20 plus years.
Wow.
And a lot of those.
Interesting to you?
What's that?
Is that what makes them interesting to you? Is just how consistent they can be with this,
It,
or what is it?
Yeah, the consistency is beyond impressive, and then like the devotion and dedication to duty. Like these guys will deploy, like will start families. I mean, when you were in the active duty in the Marine Corps, you PCS, which is permanent change of station, every 3 years. So think about it. You're staying in for 20 plus years. How many times did you relocate your family? And then, not for nothing, a lot of these guys have deployed 5, 6, 7 times. You're going away. You do workups before deployment, and then you go away for 6, 8 months at a time. So just like the dedication, and I don't have a choice. They're just programmed that way. They don't even think twice about it. When it's their time or their job to go to do something, it's just like a switch. The other massive difference, I think, with the two formalized trainings right now is um, with the police academy that I'm in Broward County. I'm mixed in with a lot of. It's a municipal academy, so I'm mixed in with a lot of different agencies and departments. Broward County Sheriff's Office, and all the surrounding cities in Broward. We're a day academy, so we go in the morning and we get to go home at night. Obviously, with boot camp, you're there fully indulged in it for the full 13 weeks. This is longer, but you go home at night and you have the weekends off. So it's a little more challenging in the sense of having to balance work, like a day job, the prepping the uniforms, having a normal life outside of there, and then being in that formalized mindset. You go there and you turn it on. It's all, sir, yes, sir, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And, balancing that and turning that on and off is kind of unique. I've found.
That's very interesting. So when you're in Marine boot camp, and I think a lot of us understand this, where you'll get sent to Paris Island or whatever it may be, and you're there for X amount of time. So it's like, hey mom, hey dad, hey honey, I'm gone for the next 6 months. But what you're dealing with now is you're doing this intensive training throughout the day and going throughout these things, but you come home at night and, hey Alyssa, like, I just went through some crazy shit today, but like, what's for dinner? Or, hey, can you
Yeah.
walk the dog, Steve? Like, what?
Yeah. It's strange that
I
balance.
walk the dogs.
Yeah. Or even just like stopping at the grocery store, like everybody's like so relaxed. You're getting yelled at for not walking on the right side of the hallway or jogging in place while waiting at the water fountain. Like, you're so on edge for all these things, and then all of a sudden, like, you're just in the car driving home. Hey, babe, can you stop and grab some eggs? All right, and then you're just like walking. I'm like in the grocery store, like, am I being pranked? Like, is someone gonna yell at me? Jump out.
Wow. That's
But yeah.
And I'm curious, while we're on this subject, kind of stay a little bit more on the Marine boot camp while we're here. So, how old were you when you were shipped off?
I was 19 when I went to in the Marine Corps. I was
You were
19. So I'm
19.
28. I'm 28 now.
So, it was almost a decade ago. So,
Hmm.
you're 19 and you went to Paris Island, right?
South Carolina. Yep, Paris Island, South Carolina. There's only two places that you can go to Marine Corps boot camp: San Diego, MCRD San Diego, and then Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island, South Carolina.
And most of the people that are from the Northeast or from that, like, closer to there will go to Paris Island.
Yep, this side of the Mississippi comes here. That's how they kind of split it up, east and west of the Mississippi.
Hmm.
So everybody, even like Texas people, folk and stuff, they all come East Coast.
Hmm. Would you say that that experience, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how difficult was that for you?
Um, Looking back on it, I think it was pretty cool, honestly. I think I would do it again. Like, difficult wise, it really depends on where you're at mentally. Um,
I think I would do it again. Set me up. That's hilarious. I'll do it fucking with you.
yeah, I do. I mean, I think, like I said in the beginning, bro, like, I think it's like important for people to go through formalized training just to like understand like how I mean, I don't know how like how different everybody is growing. I actually do understand that. I have had plenty of groups of friends and whatever, how different everybody's household and the way they're, expected to do their own laundry or get a job, do chores, pay rent or whatever the hell each individual family, whatever. But it gives you like a common sense of this now has to be done. Like you make your bed in the morning, you do your laundry, press your clothes, and you hold like you have this responsibility, and um, you don't have at boot camp in the Marine Corps, you don't have to think about anything else except. I mean, you don't need to go home at night. Like you're there for 13 weeks, you don't have to worry about anything the whole time. Just train. It's like it's super unique in that sense. So difficult wise, like physically, I mean, like I'm pretty well off physically and stuff, and I've always worked out and trained pretty hard. So I don't think that's very difficult to that extent. Regular, if you're not prepared, if you didn't prepare, yourself to kind of indulge or expect to be swimming and hiking and doing all these different things day to day. Then you might have found a difficult time, and then mentally, that's the big hurdle with a lot of people. Being disconnected, no phone, no family, no communication with anybody else, and then like the question of what am I doing? I think that for most people, including myself, was pretty difficult at times. I left Alyssa back home and stuff for that period of time. So meant difficult wise, mentally, physical would probably fall underneath it.
Mm. It was more the mental, which makes sense. And you think of anything that's really difficult, a lot of times it comes down to, like, yeah, the physicality is there, but it's just the mental push through.
Yeah, I mean, doing push-ups, high knees, and burpees. It's not like if you can't do it, you're gonna get like the boot. It's just like mentally also getting over those exercises. Working out's like like something I love to do, but I don't like when somebody yells at me and makes me do flutter kicks for as long as they want me to do them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'll do like I'll set a timer and do a minute of flutter kicks, but I know when it starts and I know when it ends. Like having somebody in like a training making you do flutter kicks, like it's whenever
Yeah.
this dude feels like it's like kind of like belittling, you know? It's like this is annoying. Screw this guy. Why does he have the power to make me do this? But that's like a mental aspect of it. Physically, it's not that bad, but like mentally, you're like, gotta listen to this guy for the next freaking however long.
Mm. When I was younger, I thought about a lot of like the idea of needing college versus not needing college, and especially the society that we're going into right now. And my mindset's changed on it over time. And the one thing that I can appreciate from college would be like the post 18-year-old having like a regimented commitment of something that like you can get through at that time in your life, like going to classes, making sure you're passing your classes, being on time for things. I think for certain people would be important. And I thought it was unique how you said like the routine and the regimen was something that you found very valuable from boot camp. And it's like, to me, I think because not everyone's meant for college. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone's meant for college. Like maybe they they don't know what they want to do, or they like, I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want to be this, I don't want to be that, but they're just sold the idea to go to college. So I think it's unique that we're talking about this. For some people, it's like, hey, there's other options for you to get benefits that could be more useful for your life. Like maybe the skill set that you got in the Marine Corps is very valuable for your life now, and it's leading to you to where you're going. Like the having the appreciation for a regimented schedule, not being all over the place. So I thought that was unique, and it made me kind of connect that to some of my beliefs with school. What are your thoughts on that?
I think college can be beneficial to some and not to others. Like you said, like it's more ingrained in you that you're supposed to go, and it's kind of it's the with our this generation and stuff. It's kind of shifting to be like entrepreneurship, trades are big now, and kind of getting away from the idea of experience is just as valuable as a college in a lot of aspects. If you can go out and get some management experience or just obviously not in like the fast food industry or but applicable industries to your desired career. If you can go out and get, I think like what are those things people do? Internships
Yeah.
and like a fellowship for like when people become doctors. I think that's most valuable. Like on the job training is. Well, like I went through that apprenticeship for the heavy equipment operator school as well, and I think that was you get the on the job training. Yeah, sitting in a classroom and stuff, you can learn about the industry, but you're really never gonna supplement actually doing it. So I think that's like the kind of the disconnect with college in the real world. A lot
Mm,
of people come out of college these days with no job and just a bunch of debt,
totally.
especially when you don't see these debts adding up as you go through, or say your parents paying for it. You don't ever really have an appreciation for what you're doing, so you don't really get the most out of it as you'd expect. Um, but when you're in the Marine Corps, you certainly know like you get the most out of it that you possibly can because you understand what you want to do, like what you're doing and why you're doing it. A lot of times in college, people that just go there because that's what is expected of them. Then they're like, "Oh, I'm in school. I'm in school." It kind of buys you time for 4 years. I don't have to know because I'm in school.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Who are you? I'm a student,
yeah,
and it's just like
yeah.
it's like an easy pass.
It's just a gap of time that like you just. It's like a oh, that's acceptable because of our minds because that's just what's been known for so long. That's the only. Yeah, 18 to 22 if you're in college and you're fine. You're well off, you know what you're doing or whatever. But then 23 rolls around, you just graduate with a communications or business degree and they some job wants a business degree and 5 years experience and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I really like how you were pointing out some type of on-the-job training, an apprenticeship, an internship. Really is like the best form of training you can get now. College is necessary for certain professions, right? Like if you want to be a lawyer, you need to go through law school, and then you'll go into
Hmm.
your apprenticeship and in your internship, so you can actually see how the day to day is. But you need to know all this stuff. But I think back to right out of high school, I went into I tried CCRI community college for like a little bit, but I was just a monkey, dude. I couldn't last in the community college. I was like, I'm just gonna get right into working. And to me, the skills that I learned, the people skills that I was able to build while working in fine dining, and then I started to like figure out all these other ways that I could get like taught business. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
it's really valuable for me. And when I found this sales job and we're all around the same age and there was these people that were leaving college and then there was me, I had a little bit of a leg up on people because they were still like almost had like this, I just got out of college, I deserve something. But the world doesn't give you shit. Like you have to earn it. If you're going to make a sales call, the sales call isn't going to say, "Hey, congratulations, you graduated from Yale. I'm going to sign up with you." No,
Mm-hmm.
give a shit. They
Yeah.
they want to connect with a human being. And sometimes college doesn't teach you those human skills that
Yeah.
we'll learn in the real world and how to connect with a person. Teach you how to drink a bunch of booze and how to learn the Pythagorean theorem or whatever the fuck they're teaching in there. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Dude, I've had the same thought on it forever. Like doctors and lawyers. Like, yeah, yeah, no shit. I'd want my doctor to be have gone through medical school.
To know what
I
a
don't want
kid.
to be cut off some dude cut open who just went out there and did it a bunch of times and just trial and error, you know. But there's not many industries that I think that it's like a necessity anymore. You know, like I feel like experience is just so much more valuable in that aspect. But I think I listened to a bunch of Ty Lopez, obviously, not obvious, but on he believes that college is kind of going away. Like it's this generation shifting to like, I mean, especially with the presence of AI. Wow. Really, if you have a phone on you that has all the information that you'll ever need to know in every aspect, the only thing that you really need is these communication skills that you don't really get while you're in school. These experiences that you're kind of just missing out on while you're in school learning about exactly what AI is going to be replacing you with anyway. You know, the only thing that is left is the human interaction behind everything. You know,
Yeah.
um, so
It's an interesting it's an interesting match because when I really start to think about it, because I also don't want to be the guy that's like talking shit about college and bring people out because you never know. And I'll kind of break it down like this. I remember I was in this like a seminar with a lot of really successful people, and all the
hmm
successful guys were talking shit about college. So I went up to each of them and I was like, "Yeah, but did you go to school?" Yeah, I graduated." Yeah, and each one of them that was talking shit about college went to college.
yeah,
So for them, yes, they didn't need college to get to where they're at. My friend Cody's a good example of this. He got his degree in finance, and now he's making millions in solar and sales. So he didn't need his college, but his college led him to where he eventually was because throughout
sure,
that experience, he met the people, the situations, and the connections. So a lot of times, like to our point that we're talking about, yes, you don't need college, and especially nowadays, but you also really want to figure out like what is it you want to do, and maybe college could be a good outlet for you because the other part of it, and we've seen this with some people that we grew up with, is they didn't go to college and then they don't know what to do with their time, so they just do meth.
the unfortunate truth.
The unfortunate truth. So you have to be driven. So maybe if you're not driven,
Yeah. Or
like
they miss that drive and they kind of get stuck in a rut and they just stay in that rut. Not necessarily a bad place, you know, they're not doing meth, but they're also never are leveling up. It's just kind of stagnant. Maybe they get in that restaurant industry or and they kind of get complacent and comfortable with the money flow and whatever. And they're like, I
yeah.
guess I could just do this forever. But so that is an idea. But to your point, you know, you say it could be used as networking and whatever in a lot of aspects. There's obviously benefits to school and the timing of things, but obviously you and I are both believers in the universe acting in mysterious ways, and understanding that it's all going to play out in a certain way for a reason, and whether you go or you don't go. While you're there, yeah, things could happen great. If you weren't there and you were doing something else and you're working hard and you're trying to level up in a certain aspect, maybe that was, you'll run into somebody or something will happen along the lines because that was your, you know, destiny. A
Yeah.
little cliche, but
I love what you said about, because I think this is kind of like a good way to kind of encapsulate what we're talking about, because either or, whether you go to college or don't go to college, you need to have like determination and not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like to not settle. We use
complacency.
complacency, exactly. You cannot be complacent. So we use the waiter as an example. When I was 20 years old, 21 years old, I was a waiter at the Capitol Grill. Like the youngest server had like 10 years on me, I think, was in his 30s.
Yeah.
I felt like the fucking man, bro. Like I'm not my ego was up here. I was like, I'm
Hmm.
king. I was making like 90 to 100K at the Capitol Grill,
Yeah, easily.
but the servers were like some of them, and they were very, very intelligent too. A lot of these servers,
Hmm.
and they're still friends of mine. But I remember my buddy Ken was like, I forget exactly who it was, but he's like, don't get too comfortable. Yeah, this money's comfortable, but you don't want to end up like me. And I'm so grateful that he was humble enough to share that with me, because he's like, dude, I'm 55 years old and I'm still a waiter. I've been here for 30 years. It was great when I was younger, but I got complacent. I got comfortable.
Hmm.
I got comfortable, and now I'm still doing this, just getting by, because 100 grand a year is really not that much. And when you're grinding in the restaurant business for it, that's rough.
Yeah. You work every holiday, every weekend for, that duration of your career. 100 grand's not going far when you're putting money into your own Roth or your own investments, when you're paying for your own health insurance, when you're paying your 1099 employee, you're paying your own taxes. 100 grand turns into a lot less really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to not, no matter what you're doing, whether you go to school or whatever it is, you go to the Marine Corps, just don't be complacent, because you never know what opportunity is going to come to your door. You never
Hmm.
know what's going to lead. You could go to school for political science, and then you get out and you realize that you want to be a behavioral psychologist because
Yeah.
it brings you happiness. Cool. But people will always like, I got a couple friends that do this. They're like, they always think they need some type of certification, which I think is just bullshit. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
I want to be a personal trainer. I gotta get my X5 or my CrossFit M2. It's like, just start doing it.
Yeah.
Doing it, because people use like the certifications as a way to make themselves feel good, that like they're working towards it, but then they pay to get the certification, they get the certification, they start the job, like this fucking sucks.
Money schemes, just like in so many aspects. But like to your point, I mean, especially with this day and age of social media, just start lifting, and if you're experienced and knowledgeable enough on exercise, and just video yourself and put it up on social media and build a clientele that way. What's there to say you can't do something like that?
Yeah.
Somebody once got it. They have a certification for it, so I have to do that. No, man, fuck that.
Yeah.
I love the not going for things like that and just doing it instead.
Yeah.
No, it's no whatever for experience. What's the no for experience? No, frig, can't think of the word. No except like you can't no exception for experience. What's the saying?
Bro,
Damn.
that's my life right now, is this. Being in Colombia, and um, a new girl that I've been seeing does not speak English as well. So my whole day is just like in Espanol. Someone's just like, "Ah, blah, 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 blah." I'm just like, Entiende? Entiende? Which means, do you understand? I'm like, despacio, otra vez, despacio. Just like, dude, say it again, say it
Very little.
again. Oh, yeah, interesting convo. I appreciate you going in on that with me. I'm curious. We were talking a little bit about boot camp. I do want to stay on this subject about kind of what you're going through with um, the academy. Because I remember when Matura, our mutual friend Andrew, was going through the academy, he was kind of filling me in like what it was, and I was like, damn, bro, this is this is intense. Same thing with Maddie Devine. So, if you could, like, what has it been like? What are your hours in the day? What are you doing when you're there? Is it like, are they teaching you emotional intelligence type skills that how to handle and deal with people on a like on a language level as well? Or is it just physical? Why aren't you bald? Like, just basic questions.
Yeah, this one is a little bit more, I feel like, lenient than up north. And not lenient to the point of the expectations aren't as high, but certain things they kind of focus on more than making you be bald. Um, this one starts at we get there for like 6:30. There's a little bit of leeway in the time in the morning. You get there for 6:15 to 6:45 ish, depending on how rushed you want to be. You go in the classrooms. That's broken up into several academy classes based on when you started. So there's like 6 or 7 going on right now. Formations at 7 in the morning. You stand at attention. You salute as they bring colors up. So the flags, the academy's flag, the college flag, and then the American flag and stuff. You do a little formation. You probably usually do some corrective exercising, some push-ups, some jumping jacks. Then depending on what the day entails for your class, the academy's broken up into a big chapter book on like all of the things you need to know to be a basic police officer. So like patrol operations, report writing, legal, um, crimes against people, natures of crimes, crimes against people, crimes against property, um, just anything you could think of police not driving, police related. That would be in a book. That's not like it is that conversation, communications and stuff. They do try to teach you on how to on how important that is. Emotional intelligence is more of like a conversation like that instructors get off on tangents who have been experienced, who did 25-year careers or are still in their career, and they kind of tell you what you should like, that you should have outlets, that you shouldn't let it consume your entire life, that um, you need to find things that make you they just know from experience that you just can't be fully indulged in policing from sun up to sun and down, and just like all your friends are cops, all that you talk about is being a cop, and all these other aspects. You need outlets, and you need other support systems to be able to,
Why do they? I mean, I understand, but why do they tell you that's important?
because it's one of the most deadly jobs in the world, but it's not involved in just cops getting shot or ran over. A lot of them, you see and do so many traumatic things on a day to day in these busy cities, that your life is, your mind doesn't become the same as everybody else's, because, think about it. Every experience you've ever had with a cop is probably a pretty shitty one, based on you're calling them because of being burglarized, or in a lot of extreme cases, murders and theft and rape and all these awful things, and people shooting, suicide. You hear about it a lot, but you don't see a lot of it. Who's the one there for all of it? Somebody's got to show up and do an investigation and tell you this guy shot himself or this guy was killed. And it's just a normal day for a cop. You go there, and there's so many pools in Florida. There's no fences around them. These little kids, how many pools, how many little children drown in pools, and then the next call you go to, you go there, you freaking you pull a 2-year old out of a pool who's dead, and then you have to go to a grocery store for a misdemeanor theft charge 30 minutes later, and then you're on a traffic accident, and then you're at a domestic violence, and then you just go home, and your life is, it's if you're always talking about it, and your whole identity is consumed by that, um, that becomes detrimental. You need to have support systems and outlets and things that gets your mind away from the traumatic experiences of being a police officer, especially in busy cities like Andrew and Providence, or anybody in Broward County down here. Think about how busy of a place South Florida is. Um, but that's talked about more of an experience level in the academy, which I think that should be more taught, like curriculum based. And unfortunately, it's not. But fortunately, there's enough instructors that care so much about it, and I've seen and lost friends and have known so many. The numbers are
Are you
astronomical.
referencing like suicide rates within officers because of like what they see and what they go through?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when they what they see and go through, and and you resort to drugs, alcohol, um and suicide, unfortunately. So, and
Yeah,
it's very prevalent, But
not a
and
lot
then so
about enough, even
what's
outside.
that?
Not a lot of that gets talked about outside of the force, because even as a civilian, like when we think of police officers, it's more about like, what are you here to do for me or do to me? It's not like if I call you or you pull me over, what is it that you are here to do to me or what are you here to do for me? It's never like, hey, this is a human being. Because
Yeah.
situations are usually fight or flight. So us
Hmm.
civilians are just like, all right, let me get out of this as quickly as I can and let me not try and get put behind bars.
Yeah. But that, trust me, I mean, like I was saying earlier, though, that guy who just did a 1050 on you for, he couldn't even ignore the fact that you just did 100 and changed 4 lanes of traffic to take an exit and didn't use a blinker or whatever. He's got to do his job and pull you over. But he could have had like the worst day ever leading up into that, and you were like, oh, that guy was a dick because he gave me a ticket for this. But
Yeah.
maybe he just came off an accident. Some dude was doing 110 and there was a couple kids in the car or something and they were just decapitated or something. And yeah, he's writing you a ticket because he doesn't want that to happen again. And you just have to think about the reasons things are, or maybe some cops, they're not all perfect. They're human beings, like you said, and could have been just a dick, or he's doing this for a reason
Yeah.
because they have, experiences and they do things for reasons.
Yeah, fortunately, I feel like I've always had a good perspective on this, and I can even like some people when I was living in Los Angeles would say, "Oh, this celebrity was such a dick because of this." I'm like, you just never know what people are going through. He could have been a dick at this one point throughout the day. How many times am I a dick throughout the day?
Hmm.
Like, ask yourself that question.
But that guy had no idea what Ethan Triumphzak was, so that thought is nothing. But when there's a name and a face behind it, or a uniform, then
Yeah.
you get a stereotype of this whole.
Yeah.
Obviously, you see all this stuff online of like Justin Bieber, but if you didn't know who Justin Bieber was, you never have a second thought about that dude being like, get out of my face, like.
Yeah, the uniform because and this is scary, this especially what social media can do to this, but they're not thinking about Steve Peck as the human being. They're thinking about a police officer and all police are evil because of what happened with one police officer that did this. Now everyone's like that. You want to get into this because you want to show your superiority over the human race. That's exactly why you want to do it, right, Steve? Right?
Hmm.
And this is what these people think about. So while you're in these classes and they're talking about like outlets outside of just being friends with just cops and how to handle the emotions with it, are they kind of preparing you guys for this new age that we're stepping into? Like we see online a lot, like people are pointing cameras at cops trying to get reactions out of you because it's gonna make their social media blow up or something. It's a sick part of this current existence that we're living in, but the truth is that it's happening and it's real and it's something that I would assume you guys are preparing for. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's why I think it's so important to have like current cops in these classes teaching you sometimes because a lot of them, had great careers and did all these really important cool things and it's all like we thank you and commend you for your services and experiences, but this isn't applicable to us anymore because of the world we live in. So the world of body worn cameras and the media being portraying you to be this whatever you were in that experience. I think body worn cameras are to the police officer's benefit to hold them accountable, but also it's not your word against ours always. Or you see so much on a video of people can cut things, so it looks like the cop was in the wrong, and not that there aren't ever situations that cops are in the wrong, because of course there is. We're human beings, and not everybody's perfect, and the process to get high. Shitty people fall through the cracks, and unfortunately, but it gets exposed eventually, as you see always online. But you can get the wrong image so easily based on a short period of time in people's cameras. Like, in you clip this and pick out whatever you want to hear in this. You'd think of the conversation was strange, but if you saw the whole picture, you'd understand things a lot better. That's why I think body worn cameras, every time you're in interaction with individuals in any instance, if you roll that camera, then you can see things beginning to end and kind of why they unfolded the way they did, and it kind of brings a lot more clarity to situations.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can film this as much as you want and clip it out, whatever, but when you go to sue the police department or go make this guy look bad or whatever, yeah, online you might be a star for a little while, but if it ever gets public to the police department, they'll release that footage, and you'd be able to see the whole situation and understand why what was done, what was done.
Mhm.
So body worn cameras, I think, helps us a lot in that instance of um, you can take a video of something for a couple minutes and it looks a little, what the hell was he doing? Or like if you just saw the cops like apprehend somebody and the knees like on her back or something, there's a use of force involved in that, but it was a good use of force, that a guy just punched another cop in the face or had a knife. Oh shit. Sorry. And and then if you all you get is the cops slamming the dude on the ground, yeah, it looks bad. But what happened leading up to that to make that, situation kind of unfold? So just having that kind of like evidence for everything is nice, I think.
Do you have to remember to like turn on the camera when you're about to approach someone, or is it always like?
No, yeah, it's you can turn it on and off, but in policy, in department's policy, when you are coming interacting with the public or whatever, you're supposed to always turn it on. So obviously, if you're gonna have a normal conversation with somebody, it's just like a cam. There's like a small button on the in the front of it that you can just click and it turns it on. So it's not like difficult if you have to do it in a hurry.
Okay.
It's like in turning it on and off throughout a day. Not that I wear it right now, but it comes, I'm sure, just second nature to.
Yeah, it comes second nature. Do you get nervous about like forgetting to turn it on?
I don't have to wear it right now. I'm not a cop.
Yeah, but in the future, like, have you had that thought?
Um, no, I think it'll become like your same thing of putting your gun belt on and make sure you have a loaded weapon and preparation and stuff, and just every time you interact with somebody. And if you do notice, there's like, I mean, there'll be like a little light on it, so you'll know when it's recording and not. So if you ever question it, you look down, just kind of put the
Got it.
camera, but got the camera rolling.
Yeah, it'll kind of just become like an SOP, like a standard operating procedure
Exactly.
before you approach someone, before you go to a traffic stop
Mm-hmm.
or what have you.
Yep.
The physical type of training that you're going through, um, we as civilians, we see some cops that look like you or just fucking jacked studs. We're like, okay, this makes sense. But then we see some cops who are like, damn, like the whole classic eating donuts and drinking coffee. So, what is like the barrier to entry? Is everyone kind of like in good shape to start with you, and then through time they kind of will lose that, or what's like? Fill me in on that.
um.
You get some chubbies that are starting out, or what?
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the world we live in. It's just you're not gonna find everybody's not gonna care about their health the same, and it's I think cop or not, you should be cognizant of it. But um, the standards aren't that high right now, and once you do get on and once you go through, you have to pass a profile right now in the academy, and it just consists of doing 12 pull-ups. You have to run a half a mile, do an obstacle course, do some sit-ups. So the max is 85 in 2 minutes, which is actually the hardest of all because of the timing of it, of the events. A bend and twist exercise that you bend down, touch the ground, and go each shoulder. Some squat thrust, which is just like a half a burpee. Um, it's not extensive. I think it should be a little bit more rigorous. And then once the standard just drops, once you're actually on, a lot of places don't even have annual fitness tests anymore, or they give you like crazy incentives, like time off of work and stuff, to do it, which I don't understand why. So, um,
Have you heard?
not.
like I've seen RFK has been working to put like the standard physical test back in schools. Do you think that they would do that with the force as well? Have you heard anybody talk about that?
I've never heard anything but anybody talk about that, but I did hear RFK talk about putting that in school, which I think there's no negative part to, there's no negative aspect to it, and there wouldn't be in police force. Besides, in a shrinking industry that very little people want to do it now anyway because of the perception of the public, kind of could get even smaller based on that, changing your or your, you know, you get less applicants or less, not less people who want to necessarily, but less people who can. So I don't know. I think it's a necessity though. If you can't run or, at least wrestle with somebody for a few minutes or bend down and pick up your gun if you dropped it or something crazy. I've seen some big cops, which is like, woo, you gotta change something about your day, but
Yeah, I mean,
not for me to decide. I can control.
yeah, you control you. But I mean,
Yeah.
if I was in that position, I was out of shape and I was a police officer, dude, I'd be freaking nervous going throughout the day. It's like, what happens if I get into a scruffle with somebody? Have you ever wrestled somebody for like longer than 5 minutes?
Me?
Yeah, you personally.
Yeah, yeah, I wrestled for a long time.
It's rough. Like when you're at
Yeah, man.
5 minute mark or
It's a
even
tough
3 minutes
sport.
of going hard and they put you in a headlock, that is God fearing. But you
Yeah.
can tap. But if you're fighting some dude on the street and you're in bad shape and you're winded and you get thrown into a headlock, that is a scary place to be. I would go so hard in my training. I do that now just because you never know. I don't want to ever like be in that situation that someone could fuck me up or put me in a very uncomfortable situation like that. But I guess people just don't think like that and they've never had it happen to them. So
Hmm.
they don't think it could happen. But another scary part about this, you get a fat cop. I mean, he's going to be more likely to make shitty judgments because brain fog and because of just like, no offense to the fatties, but if someone is a little bit out of weight, they tend to usually make shittier life decisions. It's just like, it's not me putting them down, it's just the truth. It is
Yeah.
the truth. It's why you're out of shape because you just don't have a good history of making a good group of decisions. And that's scary for someone carrying a gun is to not have a good history of making good decisions.
Well, think about this as it's scary in the aspect of also you show up to like a maybe a violent felony of some sort or criminal of who has so many police interactions, and every time they get there, every time he's been arrested, he gets this squared away dude who's in shape and knows how to fight, and he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna try this dude because it might not turn out so well for me. But then they're like this one off situation that you're like this out of shape, ruggedy looking dude. Uniform doesn't look good. You're not perceived to be. "Oh, I'm gonna try this, dude. I can get out of this. I don't have to go to fucking jail today. I'll just fucking slump this dude. Go on my way. That's why I think it's dangerous, also, and scary as hell. So, it won't be me, but they're out there. But they're also backups, bro. They're the people who are gonna be your 94, who's freaking, coming lights and sirens to save your ass, and when you're in a scuffle with somebody. So. Um, should there be a standard? Absolutely. And unfortunately, I don't know in the direction of our society the way it's going if it's if it's going to continue getting worse of a standard or it could eventually make it a 180 and there could be some accountability. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just made a really good point that the applications are probably dropping for it and they need people, so they have to, unfortunately by nature, just kind of lower their standards. Um, to kind of pivot a little bit, I'm curious, since you joined the force, you haven't been drinking alcohol, and you and I grew up together. We've shared quite a lot of beers, quite a lot of times together. So, not that you used to drink like crazy. Like I think you were more of like a weekend warrior. But how has like this experience been for you? And do you feel any kind of resistance after, going through a big week in training and then it's Friday, Saturday, and you're like, damn, like I'd really love to just, let loose.
yeah, I think that you're right. I wasn't like a super big drinker, but as a weekend warrior and like enjoying a beverage, um, but also having that balance of like being so healthy for like so many days consecutively, working out so much, and then kind of just drinking it away. Not necessarily that it's always you're gonna outweigh the good with the bad of like what drinking or whatever, but I think it's so easy when you're consistent in in your habits that you don't want to be, on the opposite side of that. You don't want to be, you don't want it to depreciate your effort that you've put in so much. So really, it's been pretty simple for me. Just I like the aspect of I know that I'm not there full time, but I'm doing this full time, and it is my only job to excel at this at the absolute best that I can. And I know that putting my best foot forward is involves not that being mentally clear, physically fit, and um, I talked about this the other day with somebody in the academy who hadn't done physically very well in a couple things and had failed a test or something, and I asked them, I was like, if you had the full academy, all the classes together, or just ours, of a bunch of U's, how would you feel? Or and then even further into like the police department, if the department or that academy class was just a full of a bunch of Steve Pecks, or in this case it was somebody different, how would you feel? Like, would you be perceived well? Would you be like, wow, now that's a good academy class? That's a bad, like, wow, they're physically fit, they're passing tests, they're doing really well, they're squared away, they look sharp, they, if there wasn't like multiple, personalities and different blah blah blah, would you like think that's a good? Because I know fucking damn well if there was an academy full of Steve Pecks, that place would be fucking ridiculous. So that's my thought of like the effort I put in. If I were to look at myself in the mirror and not know that dude, what would I think of it? Like what would I be perceived as my own thought? So that's kind of my thought process behind the being sober for it. Just be the best version of myself that I could be for it. Not that I even really needed to not drink because it's not like that physically demanding, or the test taking is a little bit more challenging for me because I've never been that good at um, you know academics or whatever. But yeah, that's my thought behind the not drinking.
It's just you have these impeccably high standards. And what I really, really appreciate about this and can recognize, and where I think someone listening could get value from this is, yes, you don't necessarily, like, it's not that physically demanding. It would not be the end of the world if you did drink on the weekends or maybe even during the week, because you'd still get through the academy. But like the little mental edge that you have, I guarantee is getting noticed, and that's going to lead to just opportunities for you down the line. Like, hey, Steve was just an absolute stud. Even if you were drinking, you'd still be great with the physical stuff, but like the mental edge that you probably have because of just always being super clear is definitely going to lead to some opportunities down the line. And I think it's also great because like it's only 6 months or so that you're doing this.
Hmm.
Like that's just it's just awesome to be able to resist something for 6 months while you're going through something difficult to earn something. Let's say the holidays, you have a couple of drinks. Like it's gonna feel really good when you actually earn those. It's gonna feel amazing, and you're not gonna have any guilt behind it. You went through this thing, and you're just setting yourself up for a really good future with along with all the other things that you're doing. Drinking is just like a small part of it. But all the other ways in your mindset, I think, is just something that we can take some notes from. So appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think that's a super important point you made just now. It's really not even, well, along with the not drinking and whatever other goals you set, it's just like the temptations to break something, just like you just accomplished a year of no drinking and you spent a lot of time in solitude throughout that year. Am I wrong? Like, nobody would have ever known that you picked up a beer one night or had a glass of wine with dinner, or fell into one of these temptations while you were at beer fest in Germany, or well, all these other experiences that you've done like in Mexico and all over the world, back home visiting your friends. a lot of people would have never known after 365 days if you had drinking or you hadn't. But to mentally get over these hurdles, like in a really hard set of exercising, you know, nobody's gonna know if you did 8 or 11 reps right there. But there's really only true growth done during that 8 to 11 set right there. There's only true growth done during those really important times, and nobody else is gonna know that you're accomplishing that besides you. There's things that you overcome these mental barriers, and I think that's more important than anything else that can be done because quitting is not an option when all you ever done is accomplish your goals. And I think that's the most important part.
Fire me up, dude. Fire me up. And this leads to so many other ways. I like this mantra. I use it all the time. Is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Gonna say that earlier.
Yeah, you can use this for everything in life. So for us, as an example, right now, you're right. If I had a beer at Beer Fest in Germany, wouldn't have changed much, but it would have changed a lot for me because I would be walking around with that. Yeah, you committed to this, but you didn't do it. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was only one beer though, right? Excuses, excuses. Now in other parts of my life, yeah, I can do that because it's just one, it's just this. And then you just kind of half-ass a lot of things. But if you can stay true to your commitments and it's gonna
That doubt creeps in a little less. That doubt creeps in a little less.
yeah, totally. And I've just man, where was I gonna say with this? I've learned that like the most important thing we have is our word with ourselves. Because I can say to all these people that I shared with a year ago on this YouTube video, oh, I'm gonna go sober for a year. But the only person that matters is when we say it to us. And for you, when you said like, you know what, I'm just not gonna drink during the academy. It's like a day could come up and you could just drink and no one would know. I wouldn't know. No one would know besides you. But knowing you, I know that that would eat you alive if you did that. And that would just overflow into other areas of our life. And this is what happens to people. And this is kind of a lot of people just stay average.
Hmm.
Because the average person doesn't usually stick with their commitments,
Yep.
fortunately. And they coincide with other average people. It's just like, yeah, we went to do sober January. I fell short on day 18, but it's all right. It's
Yeah, I did 18 days.
days.
Oh, the mechanical arm patting themselves in the back. I did 18 days, you know? Couldn't do the whole month, but
Just had this event
well,
that came up that was really fun.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just it's more of the that's not the point, brother. You set out a goal and you didn't accomplish it. So you're not a failure, but you failed in that goal that you set for yourself that wasn't really that hard because of some small temptation. And how many other small temptations are going to be to get an excuse to not do something that's hard? And I said this to Jake the other day. I don't know if um so I got a text and lost my train of thought.
No worries.
We were working out. We did it like a Saturday morning, and we did a really hard workout. And I was at the end of it. I was like, "What kind of sick individuals just wake up and do this like this really hard thing on a Saturday morning voluntarily?" And I'm like, "There's so little people out there in the world who have like mental toughness and clarity and set out to do something and just accomplish it week after week after week." And I may not be like this uber successful or whatever, and still finding my way in a lot of aspects of life. But I know when I set out to do something and it's a really hard task and that I'm going to get it the fuck done, like, and that might not have paid off in a lot of aspects just yet. And it could, but I don't know how many more doors I'm going to have to kick down and how many more difficult challenges I'm going to have to, overcome and do, or how many more books I'll have to read or become more intelligent, intellectual, and well versed. And I don't know, it's so many other things to unknown in the world, but I just know that when something gets hard, that I want me as my 94, my backup. And I want me as a buddy or a friend or in the same room with, and, bounce ideas off of and motivate one another. And that's like, a lot more than a lot of people can say in this world.
Yeah,
And I'm confident and I'm happy about that.
yeah. I want you too. I want you on my team as well.
Thanks, brother.
Me of this thing I say to myself all the time because I start to also think like, man, how many more doors am I gonna have to kick down? But the realization is it never ends.
Exactly. And that's a freaking, and that's like the marathon, and that's like the fucking, that mindset of it doesn't matter if it ends or not. Or, well, I know it's not going to end, but it doesn't matter because I'm a fucking savage, you know? Like,
Yeah. Is what we're
this,
training for.
yeah. And
Always.
there's always going to be challenges, no matter what your accomplishments are, where you're at in life, or what you're doing. There's always going to be challenges. You're always going to have to kick another door down, no matter like, if it's family related or friendships or finances or business or maybe just trying to knock a habit that you really want to quit. Like my my nicotine thing going on right now. Like I'm making excuses to myself of why I can't knock it because I'm like, well. I like to study. I have to study a lot in the academy, and well, studying is a lot easier if I have freaking 9 milligrams of
Yeah.
nicotine in my mouth. So I'm making excuses, but like no matter where I was, in my life, I'd still have to find a way to get over this challenge for me. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
You will. And sometimes it's funny. It's like we know that we're gonna get through it, and sometimes it's also like, fuck. Like I know I'm gonna get through this. I was talking about that with the going a year sober because like month one, I was like, sometimes it kind of get a little bit like damn, like
Discouraging.
a little discouraging because it's like I know 100% I'm gonna get through this, and that's a year's a long time.
Yeah.
A year's a long
Doesn't change the difficulties behind things.
time.
It doesn't change how hard it's gonna be, like whatsoever. It's just like fuck.
You get a good burpee workout. I texted you this morning because this workout I did today was just I feel like I do a savage workout every day, but this one was just on another level, and I had a little vengeance in me this morning that I really wanted to win the workout in the class, like
Hmm.
amongst all the other men. So I just went really hard, and it was a burpee workout with some other shoulder stuff. And I'll just tell you what it was actually. So you started with 20 burpees over the bar, and then you did 30 shoulder to overheads with 115 pounds, and then 40 wall balls, and then 20 calories on the air dime. You do that twice. Bro, I was dying. And in the beginning, I was like,
I bet.
go hard as fuck. So
Hmm.
this doesn't change that this is gonna suck, but like sometimes the awareness of it, you can appreciate. This actually takes me back. This past Saturday, I went to this cold plunge event, and there was this neuroscientist there. He was a very fascinating guy, and when I would do cold plunges in the past, I would just like, all right, I would just like complete acceptance. It's gonna suck for a couple minutes, but I'm a savage, so I'm gonna get through it. But he was really intentional with like the whole experience, where he's like, okay, when you get in, the worst thing you can do is say to yourself that this is easy. This is easy because you're doing what you do with other problems and challenges in your life, is you're avoiding it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to accept like, this sucks. This is cold.
Fascinating.
This is
Yeah.
old. But then you think about like your intention. Why am I sitting through this? Oh, because this is
Hmm.
going to build mental toughness. This is going to give me confidence that I can get through hard things. And then you think about like a mantra that you want to utilize, like everything always works out for me, brings me closer and closer to my goals, dreams, and desires, or whatever along those lines. That was the one I used for that day. And I thought it was pretty unique, but it was kind of funny. It was the hardest cold plunge I've ever done, going through this guy's routine. Oh, freezing my ass off of that thing. Where usually if I just focus on my breath, I try not to think about anything. I'm good. I can last 10 minutes. But this fucker.
Yeah, that's interesting though. I like the thought behind it, but yeah, it was more difficult, but maybe got more out of it than you normally do.
I think so.
And that mental fortitude aspect of it. Now with everything, I don't know, like if I want to look at all the worst parts of this, I like to think then, you know,
Right.
this 8 9 months of sobriety is it's a long period of time, but as I'm past the halfway point or whatever, I'm like, time freaking flies.
Time does
Time
fly.
flies. So you look at like the silver lining of things I get like the hard aspect of it. You're like, I'm proud of myself for that. it's still like long days, long, like you went to a lot of events, a lot of, dinners and a lot of social activity that you could have had a year at that you didn't. So good job, but time's not done. It's not, the job's not done.
Job's not done. I think this is awesome too because like when we commit to refusing something for a long time and then we look at our life like throughout these 9 months, not that you drift but you aren't drifting, and what I mean by that is like we get so caught up in routines and things that we do that things just kind of stay normal, and it's like, yeah, I started the academy but all other areas of my life are the same. Like I'm still hanging out with these people, still drinking, but if you can kind of do like a hard stop, I think that's a really cool experience for a season of your life. Because
Hmm.
nothing's forever. If you really love to drink, like enjoy your life, man. I really got nothing against it, but if you can resist something that you really love for a year, that's gonna give you some immense self-confidence and some virtuistic principles that are gonna be very beneficial to you in the rest of your life. Whether you go back to boozing, all good. I had a half
Hmm.
a beer yesterday, by the way, bro. I didn't realize it was a beer, which was funny. I accidentally drank a half a beer, but I was buzzed and I felt uncomfortable for 30 minutes because I went to this
Wow. Was that your first drink?
first drink since August 26th of last year.
Holy shit. And it was unintentional.
Unintentional first beer. I was so grateful this didn't happen to me. Or I think my guard was down a little bit too because during like the in between of the year, I would ask like what everything was. Like what is that?
Yeah.
I think my guard was a little bit down. I was at this event and they said in Spanish it was a gaseosa de crema, which means like cream soda. So I was like, all right, I love cream soda. Thing was fucking delicious, bro. And then the girl that I
There
was
was no Bud Light.
no Bud Light. It was delicious. Everything's sweet over here. We're in Colombia. Everything's
Yeah.
sweet. So it was like a cream soda. I was sharing it with the girl I was with, and then I know what being like a little buzzed feels from. And if you haven't drank in a while, it's strong. And I was like, oh, esta es cerveza? And she said, sí, claro. I said, ay. But it was like 4%. So
Yeah.
still like the bubbly feeling in your stomach after a half a beer. I felt like uncomfortable, but then it went away for 30 minutes, but it was kind of funny, the experience of it.
Yeah.
That was a
That's
cool
that's
thing for me as well because I was a little bit nervous about like my first drink, and I thought it was kind of cool that it happened to me unintentional.
yeah, that is neat. It's funny how that happens a week after you finish the year. I mean, I wouldn't reset over an accidental, like an accidental discharge, but
No, I actually I was prepared for this to happen. So my thought process was after the year, I'm gonna be very intentional about like my drinking going forward, and I just have like plans in place. Like I actually wrote down in my journal that if I'm with someone I really care about or someone like in a cool experience, like yesterday, if I knew it was a beer, I probably still would have split it with her.
hmm.
If I knew it was, so I don't regret it at all. Just
Yeah, that's cool.
I want to be able to not have to say no to things. Life is short, but I also want to make sure that I carry my temperance with me. Like I don't want to go and take down 8 beers ever again, but like if you and I are skiing on a mountain, I think it'd be cool to have a beer with you at the top of the mountain. So
Yeah.
you say yes to that, but not have 5 shots of Jameson, but a beer or
Hmm.
two. So
Absolutely. Just being more intentional with the reason behind things and not being, being grateful for things as well.
what do you think, like, after your 9 months, like what you've been experiencing? Because you texted me the other day, and it's like not even difficult for you. Do you think like maybe how you'll drink in the future versus how you did will change, or you think you'll kind of because like we said, you never really drink that much anyway.
Yeah, but my issue was, not that it was an issue like we said, but it's not good to go out and have not drink for 5 days and then go have 10 vodka sodas. Like that wasn't like that's not a good habit. It's not a good way to y- you know to proceed through many years. So do I think there's a time and a place maybe to indulge, overindulge, and have a night with the boys, bachelor parties, and a really, maybe a round of golf that you got together with a group of friends you haven't seen. I don't know. I don't know the exceptions that you want to put in place or whatever, but I know mine, and it's not going to be. It's not going to be whenever the hell I go to dinner. It's not going to be whenever I want. Well, it is. Will be whenever I want. It won't be as often because of the fact that it's not appreciated. And I think that, like I said, you build habits and you build so much so much health and clarity, and you have so much time on your hands when you're not drinking excessively. That I'm so grateful for like just being in this like having this opportunity to go through like a long period of time of sobriety when I didn't have to. Um, that it does open your eyes to being appreciative of what you can and can't do. So I'm not really sure about where I'm going to take the drinking. Like I said, bro, it's really not that hard for me. So I could go keep going. What is it? What's the reasoning behind it? Maybe the health, can just stay consistent in the gym like I would anyway. But to have no setbacks. Um, but And I think you get clarity of not that I obviously, I've moved to Florida kind of recently, so I don't have too many friends down here right now. But
Yeah.
um, if there's those group of friends that won't hang out with you because you're not drinking, then is that a loss? Or are you improving in a certain sense? So
Yeah. You were
take it
one
as
of my few friends that still like wanted to hang out when I was in Rhode Island with me.
I
And
think it's cool to get a good workout and eat some good food, and freaking, find a good coffee shop. I don't know. It's not like that. It's not that difficult. There's plenty of yeah, there's a weird sense of this happy hour is awesome, and you start drinking at 4 and get finished at 1. Once in a while, like I said, that is, but it kills so much time, and the next day's a wash too. So
yeah, there is a romanticism about how actually fun that is, though, because as a human being, and I talked about this in that solo podcast I did, it's fun to just be like, hey, you want to go get a drink? It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's fun, it builds that relationship. I'm not doubting that or downplaying it, but you're so right. It's one thing I brought up is everything has a cost and reward. And I think with age, I've just gotten better. It sounds like you have too, at really understanding the cost and reward of certain things.
hmm
If to not even connect it to drinking, if you're gonna go out and golf with Jake, do 18 rounds, there's a cost and reward to this. What is the cost? Oh, okay, maybe I told Alyssa I would take her out today, and now I'm going golfing. So maybe the cost is that it could mess up that. I'm just making this up, obviously. The other cost is I need
the
to
timing that it's consuming while in the academy away from studying, perhaps, or certain things, But I get what you're saying.
reward is I get to have fun. I get to go out,
Yeah.
strengthen my relationship with a buddy. I get to get some sun. There's a lot of rewards of going to golf. That's why you do it.
hmm
That's why you do it. The only reason we do anything is because the reward outweighs the cost. I think the thing sometimes is we don't realize that the cost at one point outweighs the reward. If you were to golf 18 holes every day for a whole month, that cost reward would really start to switch places, and the
Absolutely.
cost would overweigh the reward by a lot. It's just
hmm
understanding it. It's just okay, what is the cost, what is the reward? And sometimes the reward of having a few drinks with a couple buddies outweighs the cost, because you're strengthening this relationship, you're having an amazing time with these group of people, you get to laugh your butt off, which we all know is good for the soul.
Yeah.
But if you do it all the time, then the cost is just going to outweigh. It's
Yeah.
good at understanding that is really what it is.
100%. And that falls into so many different aspects too. It's a great way of thinking about it.
Totally. Well, brother, this has been fun. I appreciate
Yeah, great conversation, man.
Great conversation. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing with us kind of some things that all of us civilians can consider for police officers, and to kind of if you're watching this, I'd hope that the next time you're having a bad day, like, or just think of other people too, or maybe someone was a little outlandish, and this doesn't just need to be police officers, it can be for everyone. Like, I think as human beings, we should have a little bit more sympathy and try and understand something. Try to understand people, of what they're saying, why they're going, why they're reacting a certain way, and just being a little bit more open-minded and having some more sympathy, I think would be good. I appreciate you, brother. I miss you. Excited to
Yeah, I
see.
miss you too, bro. Very much so. Come on down whenever you want, or up, like you already corrected me. Come on up whenever you want. Not many people can come up to here, but you can.
Where are you gonna be for Thanksgiving, by the way?
I'm gonna be right here in South Florida, Mr.
You're in
Ethan.
South Florida. Dang it. Okay. I'll be in the Northeast, and I wanted to run it back with you.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a short flight for you, and there's a bedroom whenever you want.
All right, brother. Much love. All right, Steve. I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Likewise. I'll talk to you soon.